My name's Chris.
And I'm Kristie.
And this is the Washing Up Podcast, and it's Italian week.
Yes. Buongiorno.
Oh, no. No.
Come sta.
No. If we had an Italian on the show,
they could help me with my...
They would tell you off.
They would be saying, Kristie, it's like I'm in like Rome.
Okay, well, let's find out. Monica, how are you going?
Buonasera a tutti.
We're in Rome. I sounded exactly like that.
Juventus, Inter Milan, Lazio. That's
ancient Roman.
That's football clubs.
That's soccer.
So,
hi team, how are you?
Oh, we're wonderful. How are you?
I'm awesome. Thank you for asking.
It's fantastic to finally be able to get you on the podcast, and especially for a week that's near and dear.
I know, right? You guys have been asking me so many times, and I kept on saying I don't want to do it because I get really tongue-tied and I fall over my own words, and I didn't want to embarrass you guys. So I as soon as you said it was Italian week, I went, all right, I submit.
I know that kind of stuff. I can talk about that.
Oh, well, you get tongue-tied and fall over your own words, so you've listened to the show.
Yes.
This is what we do.
Fair call. No, it's good. It's good. Although, I'm looking forward to it.
In real life, I've been literally falling over. So, you know.
Yeah, somebody's been falling over on wild trek adventures.
And I can't show you the awesome bruises because then that would give us an X rating on our podcast.
Yeah, we can't. We've already got the mature rating. We don't want to go any further.
No further. That's enough.
But I assure you, magnificent bruises. So this week, Italian week. Now, they began Italian week with the signature was cannoli. Now, Monica.
Yes.
Cannoli for the signature in Bake Off.
Yeah.
Thoughts?
You really want me to chime in with this one? I'm really struggling with this one only because to me Bake Off is baking, so baking is in the oven. Cannoli are fried, so it's an appliance as opposed to an oven. So I was kind of sitting there thinking, no, maybe they should have gone cannoncini, which are baked in the oven, which is in northern Italian, which is very similar, but at least it's baked in the oven. I don't know. I wasn't convinced, sorry.
And it's showing a bit more of a deep dive and a broader appeal if you go something that's not like cannoli, which is one of about 4 things that people who aren't Italian go, oh, yeah, I know that.
But the thing is, right, is like you just open up a can of worms because where does it end? Are we doing like battered sabs next week?
No,
I know, right? I get where they wanted to go with it, but it just wasn't baking to me. So I was kind of lacking that. And I thought, yeah, no.
But to be fair, I mean...
They're cannolis and I would eat them all.
But, yeah, well, apart from the fact you'd eat them all. And I would do the same thing. I would push past them and take them.
Right there with you.
Exactly. But they've had precedent on British Bake Off. Are we forgetting the lace pancakes?
Yeah, I remember seeing that once before and thinking that wasn't it either. It's got to be oven baked. I don't know. Maybe I'm just old fashioned. But
no. Well, I went on a rant last year about the lace pancakes
and the dumpf noodle.
Dumpf noodle though was a style of baking, you could call it.
It was steamed in a fry pan.
Okay, it was dumplings, all right, but we get it. It was German dumplings.
Maybe you get one pass per season. You can do something kind of baking.
It's baking. It has to be in the oven. There must be an oven element to it.
They looked at the ovens. I mean, that's probably...
The ovens were present.
The ovens were in the way. Somebody possibly banged their knee on the handle. So,
and that's as close as they whiffed it by it, and that's their consideration of baking. Awesome.
the way that Yan's cannolis ended up, she possibly thought about putting her head in the oven. So
poor darling.
Yan and the cannolis. So my thing looking at it was that both Yan and Stacey cannolis put cocoa in the shells.
But that's quite common for Italians to put cocoa in the shells, and that's fine. It's just getting that make sure they're actually cooked properly. That's where their problem was, because you can't actually see the fact that they're browned.
Yeah, well, that was the thing, because I mean, there's the local shop nearby that sells cannolis, sells chocolate ones as well. So I've seen those before. But when Yan turns around to the judges and goes, oh yeah, the only problem with it is I can't work out when they're cooked. That's possibly the warning sign.
It's the MasterChef equivalent of I just turned around for a second.
I turned around for a second.
We're all sitting here going, but didn't they practice this at home? Like, and I feel like an amateur having not been on the show at all. Surely she would have had like a timing convention where she maybe should have tried them or had a couple of test ones to go, right, so this fryer, I haven't used it before. I'm going to throw one in there. I'm going to pull it out at whatever the 2, the 3, the 4 minute mark and go, okay, so 3.5 minutes, snap, it's done. Let's go.
So
that was a bit judgmental of me, wasn't it?
No. My question is, in the lead up to one of these challenges, how much were you going over what you were doing before you went in there? Obviously, apart from the technical, but for the others, how often were you going over?
So I would test so many recipes. I mean, the first challenge I think was lamingtons. I must have made between 12 and 14 different varieties of lamingtons until I was satisfied that I had what I wanted.
Did you hold a drive at the end of it all? Like, did you just wrap them in little boxes?
We ate them all. I think I put on 5 kilos on the lead up to the show. Because I had to taste everything, and then it was like, oh, these are really good. And then you kind of walk past and you graze a bit more, and then you hoover a whole one in as you're walking back across.
Mum, what's for dinner? Not lamingtons again.
Lamingtons, yay!
Let them eat cake with mock cream in the middle, covered in chocolate, and then just to get a coconut.
That's it. So and I know talking to some of the other bakers, like some of the things that we try, we would make, like, I think bagels. I did 5 or 6 different varieties of bagels, and even testing times and boiling times. 30 seconds, 1 minute, 1.5 minute, 2 minutes, checking the chewiness, and you didn't want to leave anything to chance, because you watch these shows and you sit there going, "Didn't you get to test this at home? How do you try? You look like you're an amateur, like you've never done it before." But we did. We look like fools sometimes, but it just happened that way.
Well, I mean, the plus side for good old Liam tonight was that Liam had tested his, because his was referred to as the Just Doing Me cannoli, which has other connotations possibly, but I'm not going to go into those. Like, we've got the M rating, but I'm not going to break it. We'll save it for Sexpo in 2018.
Oh, hey, that's coming up in July, by the way. Heads up. Yeah, sorry. Go ahead.
I'm aware. Anyway, so...
I wonder if they'll sponsor us now.
I wonder if that could be a good cross sponsorship.
Could you imagine?
Hey, we could do cannoli.
Baking after dark. Baking after dark. I've got this concept is going to set. Anyway, if you're listening to the podcast, don't steal our concept. And if you're listening to the Expo, give us a call.
Yeah.
So anyway.
We'll give you a whole new meaning to cream buns.
Oh, yeah.
So
finger buns. Oh, sorry, my bad. I promised myself I was going to behave myself. There's a lot of things that can use of me, and now
we've got a lovely habit of stopping that. So Liam did the Just Doing Me cannoli, and he's like, I want to do it a tribute to me. And I'm like, it's good to see ego. Yes. I love it.
Didn't hold back, did he?
Narcissistic baking. And the other thing I really appreciated was that they decided to do a tribute to Mary Berry tonight.
With the limoncello coming up.
The limoncello and the happy hour cocktail cannolis that Kate was doing.
Sensational. That was right up my alley, because I think I had booze in every bake as well. So I was my husband looked at me and goes, "Looks like something you'd make." And I'm like, yeah.
It's the best way to cover. I'm not drinking. Are you drinking? No, I'm not drinking.
Yes.
I'm drinking every day.
I don't have a problem. I use it correctly.
Off my face by about 9 a.m. in the morning.
It's adding moisture to my bakes.
Was it Antonio that you had to keep fending off, like, away from you?
Oh my God, he was so bad. Like, every morning, everyone would come up and find out as to what I had under my bench. They'd be like, rum or limoncello for jelly or whatever the case may be. And everyone wanted to take a swig of it. And the first one I'd have to beat up was always Antonio.
Get away, Antonio. Get away, Antonio.
You'll get me jailed.
I know, right? I was trying to be a mom and I was failing every single time. See,
but as we know, when it got to the grand final and they mentioned about the cigarettes, his grandmother's only thing was, is it the right brand? Not as amazing. Not as amazing. So the other interesting part of this was where Stephen, when everyone had their type they were doing, and Stephen went, "I'm doing Italian style cannoli," and I went, or in other words, cannoli.
Yeah.
You didn't need to say Italian style, Stephen. It's Italian week, and you're doing cannoli.
Yeah,
it's the definition's pretty much there. Now, the one I want to talk to you about is Sophie. Yeah. Now, Sophie did her classic with a twist, and I thought that Dreamboat Paul Hollywood was going to have a bit of a meltdown when she said that she was using not ricotta.
And she went with the mascarpone alternative. Yeah.
Yeah, she went with
mascarpone. Gelatin in it. Yeah.
So, your thoughts on the not putting ricotta in, going mascarpone instead?
I I didn't really challenge it all that much. The reason being is because there are a lot of people out there who don't like avocado. So, and having kind of shinny for us, they like a creme pat in it. So I could see that it could actually work. And the fact she put the gelatin in it to stabilize it would kind of make them okay. Look, it's hard because you're constantly being told to, set new challenges to yourself and take things out of your comfort zone and do something different than everybody else has done. So you kind of get told to do that, but when you do it, you kind of get caned. So it's a bit hard and I thought I'll put on it because it's something I would have done. So I kind of respected her in that regard.
And it paid off. Her risk was calculated and it came off.
But they put all these doubts in your head as well, because I could see them playing with her and she would have been sitting there going, oh, did I screw up? Shouldn't I have done it? Shouldn't I? And I bet she had a couple of hours of just torture before they judged.
Well, they do that. Well, the thing is, though, that you get, like, and we see it later on, and we'll talk about it later on when Hollywood starts his stalking of the tent.
I would have loved that. But anyway,
but you get that sort of extra pressure of them just sort of hovering and hovering. And the other interesting part I thought was my favorite part of this challenge was occupational health and safety, when they all had to start putting on layers of clothing to do the deep frying. And Kristie looked at me and gone, I bet that's Kate.
Kate's gone, no.
I bet that's Kate. The occupational health and safety officer has gone, nope, everybody, get a jumper on. We're not doing this until we get jumpers on. And somewhat ironically, in the later on in the pizza challenge, it was the occupational health and safety officer, Kate, who cut herself.
I know, and then nearly passed. Did you see her eyes roll back in her head? The poor thing?
She's like, normally I don't look at the thing, and I'm like, you're an OH&S officer.
I know.
I mean, obviously she's an OH&S officer to make sure that she doesn't have to see blood.
But the thing is, well, she was also probably very, very hot, so she's already got under one stressor, and then she's also probably highly dehydrated, and then also under stress. So a little bit of blood. If only she could pass out to give it a bit of...
Took her over the edge. It was the cherry on the cake, wasn't it?
Bit of warmth.
There are these moments, though, in Bake Off that make me appreciate the show so much that you don't get, like, the My Kitchen Rules hype about it. You know, like, it would have been like... And then suddenly drama strikes, and then you would have had all these, like, jiggling cameras coming around and, like, cut tos, other people, and then, something blowing up and then going to an ad break. And,
exactly.
And then this is kind of like, no, she's just being helped, and then she's back at it.
Yeah, she cut herself, but she's fine.
Suck it up and get on with it.
Yeah, suck it up and deal.
Lisa, on one of the challenges, she missed the first hour because she had a nosebleed. And she would have been so dehydrated and so drained of blood. Because I'm telling you, when this girl gets a nosebleed, it's like Niagara Falls. And then she's back straight into it. It's like, oh, nothing ever happened. And she still put up her bake. So you just kind of get on with it.
Down to can of cement.
No drama.
Off she went. But I mean, it's like, again, when we're talking about the difference between like a Bake Off and something like a My Kitchen Rules, is you get, for example, with Bake Off, the last season, Diana, where she nearly set fire to the kitchen. Now that would have been a case of, it would have been 4 weeks worth of promos. And
gotcha.
Will the kitchen survive?
And fake fire engines.
On Bake Off, it's just like going, oh, and putting it out, and then off you go.
And then a bit of it's trying to like burn down the place.
and actually, the first person to set the kitchen on fire was me in the Wellington week with an oven mitt that I put on top of the burner and just literally left it there.
As you do.
What's that smell? Like, oh, look, the oven mitt's on fire.
I'm starting to see why you're like, no, all challenges need to involve ovens because no burners. Cause
yeah, that's true. I can't be trusted with a stovetop. It's like an in-joke around even here. If knives, sharp objects, and stovetops are not for Monica.
We just need you with induction stovetops. Then you'll be okay.
That'll be okay.
Oh, I did one of those shot. Yeah, absolutely.
So the first thing that came out of the challenge was obviously, as we said, Stacey and Yan made things impossible for themselves for absolutely no apparent reason. They shouldn't have bothered with the cocoa, because if you can't tell and you're going to be in a stressful situation where you need to tell, probably should. So I wouldn't have done that. If you're like, I can't tell the difference between cooked and raw, even if you're like pushing yourself, maybe push yourself on flavour. Don't push yourself on, let's just put cocoa in the thing and make it dark already. That's probably the best way to do it. So then we move on to technical. Now, the technical was pizza. I'll come to you in a minute for your opinion on the pizza, because I've got a feeling. But I'm going to start by saying I think there's a lot of people who have listened to this podcast who are waiting for me to go nuts about this challenge, because I went crazy about the burger challenge in your season. I've gone crazy about things like the pancakes. I've gone crazy, sort of tonight we've mentioned about the cannolis. Mm-hmm. I have no problem with the pizza challenge.
No.
And the reason I have no problem with the pizza challenge is it wasn't about pick your toppings and make it the most. It was everyone made a margarita pizza. Mm-hmm. It was a uniform pizza with minimalist toppings.
And it needed an oven.
And it was about the quality of the bake. Mm-hmm. That's what it was about. So I was perfectly fine with this as a challenge. Now, as for the pizza, Monica.
Yes?
What do you think of the pizza?
Did you want me to give my 5 cents?
I would love you to. And given that we've had a bit of back and forth on a couple of pizza videos that were have been up on social media, which I was going to make.
When are you going to be making
the one with the lid? It's coming. I promise you.
Yes. Okay, so I love, as anyone who knows who's on my social media will know, I love making pizzas and we make them quite regularly. And look, it depends on what part of Italy you're from as to what the thickness of your pizzas are and what kind of dough you like and what you actually like on your pizzas. So each to their own. Our entire family was watching this challenge and we all looked at each other and even my kids went, oh, because they picked up this limp little thin pizza and we kind of went, yeah, no, that wouldn't cut it in my house. We need a little bit more bite to the pizza dough.
Are you more of a Chicago deep dish kind of
family? No, it has to be somewhere in between. And you know, one of these days I'll post back up again and go, this is like our style of pizza. But one of them I think was at the end was a little bit thicker and we kind of went, yep, that's right. It needed a bit more bite. But it depends on what part of Italy you're from, you know?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's interesting because I watched it and I'm not a huge fan of the thinner. I mean, the only one I really like that's a thinner, really thin one is a pepperoni. Beyond that, I don't really like the thinner crust. I prefer a bit more to it.
Yeah, see, growing up really white in Australia, I only knew Super Supreme and either thin crust or thick crust. Till a certain time when they brought in Classic, when it's like, whoa, what are you doing?
What is this crazy invention?
Then I moved to the inner west, you know, we got a bit more cosmopolitan. And there's this awesome like pizza shop that had like the full oven and stuff down the bottom of one of the malls in Pitt Street Mall, and it's not there anymore. You could buy pizza by the slice, and like no one spoke English. They were all like, you know, student visas or whatever. They were all like
yeah, awesome.
And I suppose I should probably also speak to you a bit more about pizza, given that somebody spent a serious portion of their life in Norton Street.
Yes, I did. Yeah, it was fantastic. So my dad's go-to was Cafe Gioia. Every time he came to take my sister and I out for dinner, because we were poor Povo students and stuff, it was Cafe Gioia with their pizza. But it was...
So I was going to say we love that place as well. My husband and I used to go there when we were dating in the early 90s. So that's something that's been around for. So it's a bit of a classic. It's an institution, Cafe Gioia. Always have loved it.
Speaking of sponsorships.
Anyone want to give me a call?
I did work at York Street Cinema, so I probably saw you pop in back in the days of...
Could be.
Before it was all fancy.
There's Amazon walking past, yes.
We're going to make up a story now where Kristie set you up. Anyway, make it up. We're inventing the whole thing. So the technical was pizza. Mm-hmm. It was interesting to watch the way they were trying to go about making things. I mean, the first thing they said was they removed the rolling pins from the kitchen so they didn't get tempted to use a rolling pin.
Mm-hmm. I would have struggled there as well, actually, to be honest. I thought that was mean. I thought Jan was very clever. I would have done exactly the same thing just to get that initial roll.
Do something cylindrical.
Yes, I would have been rummaging.
And then I think the main reason they removed the rolling pins was they really just wanted to have a montage of people throwing pizza in the air and having a hand all over them.
Yeah.
And they got it. I mean, Jan delivered and then some.
Yeah.
With poor Jan. I mean, look, Liam did a good job with his. I was very impressed with
Sophie did a little token toss.
Sophie sort of let go of it, went, that'll do.
But I did like at the beginning with Sandy doing her tossing, and then Noel made a joke about what's Paul being a professional tosser.
Yeah.
So it was an interesting technical in many ways. What I was fascinated by was Jan had a great definition. You know, it's bread with cheese on top. Thank you, Jan, for that great in-depth explanation of what pizza is.
And to be honest with you, I was a little bit jealous because I was watching it thinking to myself, why didn't we get a technical challenge like that? Because it would have been the one that I actually have done before. I was thinking, no, it was such an easy one.
It's like, how many times did they put technical up and you're looking at it going, no, I don't know.
There wasn't a single challenge that we did on the whole series that I've ever done before, ever. Everything was new. Everything was new, and that's why I screwed up in every single one of them.
And yet you still made it to the end.
And yet someone made the grand final. We just say.
I don't know. I don't know. I think I just was Stephen Bradbury at the end of it because it was still over around me, and it was through no fault or absolute skill of my own. But I had awesome bakers around me. They should have all been at the end. It just happened that way.
No, we made this statement when we were doing the last series of British Bake Off as well. So it's not saying it because you're on the podcast, and we mean this. The last series of British Bake Off versus the last series of Australian Bake Off, none of the Australian bakers would have crushed. And we would love to have seen a baking ashes.
Total domination.
Like a baking
we've been joking about the fact that we would like to take on the British Bake Off because I'd love to give it a shot watching the show and thinking, yeah, I'm in. Game on.
If you watch, but if you when you watch like this series, when it's really noticeable, this series, they have borrowed. We'll use the word borrowed.
Well, they suddenly had an Italian week.
A mountain of challenges that you guys did have suddenly appeared on British Bake Off that have never appeared on British Bake Off before.
And there's this like British couple called Carl and Carlina that started this what's it called? The Dishwasher podcast.
Oh, seriously? So they've even ripped you guys off. That's hilarious.
After washing up, they've got the dishwasher. No. But it's really funny. They've borrowed a whole pile of challenges from Australian Bake Off. And like this week was, and we'll get to the showstopper in a minute, for me, the most obvious one that we've seen, where they've just clearly gone, yep, Australian Bake Off did this. And I was amazed by the way they kept on saying, a first for Bake Off. And where they're going,
no. Have they forgotten their counterparts on the other side of the world?
Not if you watch the Australian Bake Off instead of first. We're old hands at this. We know when they're talking about the lamination, and we'll get to the showstopper in a minute. We
saw, we laminated.
Yeah, when they're talking about lamination and we're sitting there going, we know this. We know this. This is old. So with the pizza, I have to ask, what the fuck was Kate doing?
I have no idea.
I'm going to put this in the oven. Oh, it's not going. I'm just going to keep throwing it. She was individually spilling the toppings in first. Was she going to invert the pizza?
I did the heat must have like made the bread dough just like stick.
Yeah.
Oh, we couldn't stop laughing because my husband's looking at me and he's pointing at me as it all happening because the first time I did my pizza, I did exactly the same thing. Then I've gone, amateur moment. Rookie mistake.
Can I just point out at this point, by the way, I bumped my phone just there when I was saying what the fuck was Kate doing, and Google just went, I don't understand. So Google even tried to answer my question and went, no, sorry, can't tell you. Can't tell you what Kate was doing there. So Kate basically threw her pizza in upside down, and then it was like
it was more like a calzone.
I was going to say she may as well have just folded it over and got a calzone out of it. Would have been so much better for her.
It would have made so much more sense. And our good friend Brandon on Twitter, I think, had the best comment where he went, "Some of those pizzas look like shit." Which
Brendan, gotta love that boy.
To which I responded with most. I believe the word you're looking for is most. Now, poor Yan. Things went wrong the first time. She reproved her dough, so she put it in again late, and it was limp.
Yeah,
limp pizza. Tribute to Limp Biscuit.
It was tribute
to quote Noel. She didn't quite get it up, did she?
No, to quote Noel, it wasn't quite up.
You needed to give it a bit of Viagra and let it sit for 30 minutes. It might have.
There was no yeast rave party happening for her.
I think the comment that I made to you earlier in the night, Mon, was the droop of disappointment.
I know, and nobody likes anything limp, do they?
Oh.
No.
It's so much funnier on Messenger.
You have a good night out, you meet someone special. And
take them back to their kitchen. Next thing you know, limp pizza.
Yeah.
It's terrible. So the voting, just to let you know what people in the tent thought. Kate came sixth. Now I was interested. Kate with her dropped and whatever the hell that was came sixth.
Smash pizza, yep.
And Yan with her I didn't bother to cook it and it was limp came fifth. I was interested by that.
Maybe because like Jan's actually resembled
it looked like a pizza,
whereas like Kate's was going for more of a deconstructed abstract.
Kate looked a lot like the main building down in Federation Square, like with the different angles and stuff.
I think if you can kind of eat it, if it's like the eatability is more important than the look.
Do you think she was going for a bell tower?
Was she going for a bell tower?
Oh, poor James.
Hey, James, we love you.
We love James.
We love you, James. You know we love you.
But we love the bell tower more.
But we love the bell tower more.
That was the best moment. You gotta hand it to him. Anyway, moving on. Yep.
I love it. So Stacey came fourth. Sophie came third, which is amazing for Sophie to not come second or first in something. Liam came second, and Stephen's pizza was first.
He nailed it.
Stephen had a pretty good week. We'll talk
he's a quarter Italian. He told us that.
Yeah, well, he had no clue. He said, I don't know, but I'm not a quarter Italian apparently.
Allegedly.
So this brings us to the showstopper. Breathe deeply. Just prepare yourself.
I know. I did. Yeah, I may have had a few nasty things to say about it. Yeah, go.
Flashbacks.
Okay, so
yeah, I'm still in therapy over it, guys. There may be alcohol involved.
So for those who don't know, and let's face it, if you're listening to this podcast, you do. But for those who may not know, in the Great Australian Bake Off Grand Final, the three of you made candied orange and ricotta. Now, you can pronounce it because I'm not going to.
Sfogliatelle.
Thank you very much. And I'm not going to bastardise the language. I'm not going to do it.
You did well.
It over and giving it a nice reaming from behind, really.
Charming.
Too Australian.
Charming. So they asked Paul Hollywood, why didn't you make this the technical? And his comment was, you can't really make it a technical. It takes too long. And I'm sitting there going, but it was the grand final technical for Australian Bake Off. So
yeah, I think we had less time, if my memory serves me, but I've got a shit memory, so don't quote me on that one.
Yeah, but what was intriguing for me was I thought, and again, not just being biased here, I thought the three of you in the grand final destroyed everything they put forward tonight. No. Look, I got to hand it to them. But the stuff that those guys put up was phenomenal. But they had practice beforehand. This was like our first time we ever made them. Antonia's was sensational on the show. My lamination was absolutely shit. But the eatability was good. The guys, I think they did an awesome job with this challenge. But I thought we did better on the fact that we'd never done it before. I did go there. Yeah, but you'd never done it. I mean, if you've never done it before.
Plus, you guys didn't have pasta machines, did you, to roll it out?
No, we had to hand roll, and we had pig fat to do ours. And let me tell you, warm pig fat at 8 and 9 o'clock in the morning is the most gag-wrenching thing you could possibly imagine. Anyone else try reaching? Because I still am. It's
still a smell that you love to this day, I'm assuming.
Look, nothing. That smell is still lingering.
So if we want to impress you, we just take you out to one of those German brew houses.
Oh, look, seriously.
Just like, hey, Mon, you're home.
No. Yeah, no.
Into the back of the brew house. So they went with they could pick their own flavors. They had to do 12 of two different types of 12 each, which they kept on saying, I'm doing 2 different flavors. It's like, yeah, you're supposed to. You don't have to tell us that bit, which I found interesting. So of the ones that were being done in this, there were a few interesting moments. First of all, we had what I refer to as the maple pecan off between Liam and Jan, which ended up being a no contest. Poor Jan.
Darling.
Just if there was for some reason, Kate and Jan have been two of the most consistent bakers on the show. And for some reason this week, nothing worked. I don't know if it was heat. May have been, but everyone was suffering from it.
Listen, when it steamrolls, you get a bad week and you just get there's nothing. You just keep on going, nosediving. You're not coming back from it.
It's like that week Tom went out this season, you know. He just had a
bad week. But is it one of those things too where you have a bad first bake and you start thinking you need to desperately catch it up?
Yeah, you do. And you overthink everything and then you overdo everything and then they put doubts in your head and it just, no.
Is that when you end up in the corner, like over a bottle of limoncello, rocking back and forth in the fetal position?
That's right. You're raiding Monica's bench all the time for the alcohol. You know things about
That's the perfect way to do it. Now, Hollywood was walking around checking on everything, and this is where we come to the moment where Hollywood started stalking Liam, and the only way I can describe it, it was like prey on the Serengeti.
Yeah, you had a bit of a giggle about it, and I was kind of commenting, going, "Oh my god, if only it was me!" And I would have turned around and just absolutely smooched him because I'm such a poor Hollywood fan. I would have been, "Wow!" That poor man would have been running in the opposite direction.
He wouldn't have done it to people again.
No, I would have been up for sexual harassment.
Yeah. I love it when he's like up there and he goes into this like he does his like little like kind of like male model lumberjack pose when he's handling and his knee cocked like. The comment of the night was Noel Fielding when he's gone. This is back at the Cannellonis when he's gone. Hey, Paul, when you go get your spray tan, ask them for this color.
I know, how funny was that line?
Yeah. But I always like it when you get Paul starts strutting around the tent and then just starts standing over the top of them, and you get the Hollywood. We didn't get any Hollywood questioning tonight, but I love a good Hollywood questioning when he asks you an open-ended question.
Yeah.
They're trying to get you to come up with the answer, but by the same token, what he's actually doing is just messing with you,
causing an existential crisis.
Yeah, by the time you finish talking to Paul Hollywood, it's no longer about do I put another cup of flour in this bake. It's like, do I exist? Am I a person? What is life? What is?
It's true. He's so intimidating, isn't he?
It's just, yeah. I mean, it's a different vibe to Matt and Maggie.
Yeah, it's just a tad.
It's a vastly different vibe. So. Which of the ideas was your favourite?
Result.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. How about you guys? What was your favourite? Because I had a couple that stood out in my mind, but go for it.
I really liked the idea of the lemon and tahini that Kate put forward because I thought, that's an interesting little mix up there.
See, I would have liked it if Yen's one had worked.
I was exactly the same thing with that maple and the bacon. I thought that would have been interesting. I would have liked to have given them one of those. I don't know if I would have loved it, but I would have tried it.
She should have gone the full Canadian, made the other one poutine stuffed.
Cheese curds
and chips.
Cheese curds for everyone.
Oh dear Lord.
So what was yours? Was the Yan one?
No, look, as I said, I probably would have given that one a go. The lemon and tahini did appeal to me. Who was it who did the choc hazelnut one? I have to go wok flavors. I can't help myself, and I keep on going back to maybe you would have ended up with a Nutella one out of me. But I did like the idea of the hazelnut. I think Yan also had one. Oh, who was it who did the cherries?
Oh, the cherries. That was.
Was it Kate? No. Oh, it'll come back to me in a sec. I've got the memory like a sieve, guys. So call me Dory. No, seriously, call me Jory. One that had dark cherries or black cherries in it, and I thought, wow, that would have been phenomenal because I would have loved that sour with the sweetness of it. I think it would have worked really well.
Yeah, I think that was Liam's because I just remember them bleeding out.
Oh, there you go.
Or it could have been it. Who knows?
No, that was Liam. It was definitely Liam. Yeah.
Look, the one that did the creme pat, that was just an absolute disaster because when it was going to leak out anyway. You needed something firm in there, and you wanted something also that doesn't make your sfogliatelle soggy. So that was just a recipe.
Oh, no soggy bottom on a sfogliatelle.
Yeah, no soggy bottom.
Who likes a soggy bake? Nobody.
No one likes a soggy limp bake.
Unless it's trifle.
Look, we've made this point a lot tonight, and I think we need to reinforce it. No soggy and limp in the kitchen this time.
Nothing limp allowed in the kitchen, and nothing soggy.
And nothing too hot.
And nothing too hot, no.
Yeah. I'm surprised we didn't go with moist, but okay, I'm going to leave it.
Yeah, but moist is often a good thing. Anyway.
Moist is good. Anyway.
So what I sort of found as we got through to the end of it was when they were doing the judging, and I'm looking at going, oh, well, maybe Stacey's didn't rise at all, and there was no lamination. They were just like clumps, and and Kate's were tiny and like hadn't risen anywhere, and you're like, and then Yan's were underbaked.
No lamination.
And I didn't think it was going to be Anne at the end, to be honest with you. I thought it was going to be the other lady, so I was a bit like, oh, didn't see that coming.
Unfortunately, I thought it was going to be Yan. One, because I really wanted Yan to win. But two, and far more importantly, she underbaked 3 out of 3.
Yeah,
3 out of 3 bakes that were underbaked. And there's better than anyone. You keep underbaking things, you're probably not going to go through.
Yeah, true.
So it was unfortunate for her. But I mean, overall, how did you? And so, the star baker this week was Stephen.
Absolutely
Very deserved.
Very well deserved. Yep, we cheered. It was awesome.
His lamination looked amazing too.
They look like something you would buy in a shop. So as soon as you start looking at it that way and kind of go, yep, I would pick that up and buy it. It would be something that would be on my menu.
I mean, it's a big turnaround for Stephen this week because Stephen's got a habit of making things that look amazing. But the execution's not quite there.
But the substance was there tonight.
This time he had substance.
Yeah, that was good.
It's coming good at the end. That's good.
I know that you can buy some good Sfogliatelle around the Concord area. I saw my mate Gabby on Twitter with her little setup tonight.
Did she?
Yeah, she goes, I made the pizza. Well, the toppings at least. And then she had cannoli, and the Sfogliatelle didn't make it because they got to breakfast and that was it.
Oh, how well done. Look, we were watching the show. My son is looking at me going, Mama, can you make them this weekend? I went, yeah, no, we're going to Leichhardt and buying them.
But I've got a massive shipment of like pig fat that I've got to take somewhere.
Yeah, no, you can keep it at your place. You can keep it at your place. I never want to smell a warm pig fat again, ever.
Oh, I bought it especially.
No pork render in the morning.
Damn it!
No, I've been ruined.
I've got the smell of rendering in the morning.
Oh yeah.
It was like laminating. So
I've got to tell you, like, we're talking about it. My stomach has literally just done a somersault because there's nothing worse. I can't tell you.
I'm so sorry.
No, it's all good.
Here we are. We finally get her on the podcast and we're making her sick.
I know, you're making me violently physically ill. Yeah.
Hey.
And I've got to get back to doing gingerbread houses in a minute, so I was going to go down really well.
Pretty. I love seeing your gingerbread houses.
So this leads us into the last thing, which is Moorish cakes. Go talk about it.
Oh wow! Okay, I wasn't expecting that. So Moorish cakes, yes, we're going great guns at the moment. As most people know, I'm still working at Domain, and I do 4 days a week, which is awesome there. And then I've got my cakes on the side, which is just my passion and my creative outlet, and I just love it. So I've got some huge announcements coming for 2018, and I can't let the cat out of the bag. But I am teaching all over Australia as well, coming up in 2018. So please keep an eye out on the Facebook page as to where I'm going to be, and make sure everyone joins me if they can in Brisbane for a Carter. I've got the International Cake Show coming again in May, so I'm looking forward to being there.
Woo! And make sure you follow Moorish Cakes on Facebook because it's seriously amazing to look at everything going up there, and all of the gingerbread houses. Those gingerbread houses look sensational.
Oh, thank you. They're so cute. I entered my first gingerbread challenge this year, and while mine was probably crap compared to everyone else's, I really kind of pushed myself and pushed my boundaries. So it's all about, challenging yourself. So I kind of gave it a good go. So next year I'll do better, but I was, pretty shocked.
Plus I saw like the results of the workshop you ran, and everyone's gingerbread houses looked really nice. Like,
oh my God, how good did they do? I was so proud of them.
I know, like, usually when you see, like, I've got a few friends that go and do gingerbread houses on the as school fundraisers and stuff, and they come back and all covered in lollies and looking a little bit worse than wear, but yours just look like they'd pop out of the shop.
Bit of a shout out of advice to Tegan Higginbotham out there. After last year's attempt at building the gingerbread house. Monica,
they were phenomenal. I was so proud of all of them. They were so creative. They came up with ideas I hadn't thought of. So I kept on saying, I'm pinching that idea. I'm going to use that on the next one. Like, oh yeah, please do. That's awesome. And it was great, and I can't wait. And it was so good that we said we're going to do it again next year, and we might put on like a couple of different classes just for some different experience levels. So it was good fun. Good fun.
That's going to be outstanding. It's been fantastic to be able to have you on the podcast tonight. It's been
guys, thank you so much. I'm sorry if I talk too much, but that's me.
No. We talk a lot too. Anyway, I'm still Chris.
And I'm still Kristie.
And we will catch you all later. Ciao.
Ciao. Hey, that's mine.
Stole it.